Democratic politicians constantly contradict themselves or tell blatant lies, and their voters are too simple-minded to notice it. I'll give several examples where unprincipled Democrats take both sides of an issue or unscrupulous snakes like Biden tell overt lies. First, remember when Biden told us that he'd take responsibility?
I'll do my job and I will take responsibility. I won't blame others.
And then he took responsibility for Afghanistan by blaming Trump.
When I came into office, I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban.
And the Afghans were also to blame.
I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country.
Just don't blame it on Biden's decision to pull out the entire U.S. military in the dumbest way possible. That had nothing to do with it, folks. Complete coincidence. Next, remember when he said he was going to shut down COVID?
I've said it before. I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm not going to shut down the country, but I'm going to shut down the virus.
Just listen to those cheers from his base. And then some right-winger must have informed him that COVID is endemic now, and the federal government can't put that genie back in its bottle.
Look, there is no federal solution. This gets solved at a state level.
Sad news for all the mentally deficient leftists who believed that BS. And remember when Democrats didn't accept the results of the 2016 election? They called Trump an illegitimate president, encouraged the Electoral College to vote against the will of the people, and said the Russians undermined the democratic process?
I think the press were accomplices in the undermining of our election by the Russians. This is a big picture of undermining democracies, not just in our country, although they like undermining ours. And they did have a vendetta against Hillary Clinton because she spoke about democracy and democratic elections and the rest. There's no question, personally, Vladimir Putin had a vendetta against
That's right, and the Russians are right now doing the same thing in some European countries, hoping to influence their elections.
I love how eagerly Jake Tapper pushes that narrative along at the end. But remember, sheep, we have never not accepted election results, ever. Repeat that until you believe it.
We have never, in the history of our country, as hard fought as our divisions have been, ever not accepted the results of the election.
And Tucker and I remember Hillary explaining all the reasons that the election was stolen from her.
Hillary Clinton was cheated out of her rightful destiny in 2016 because unseen forces of evil worked furiously to undermine her because they feared her strength and goodness. Come on, you knew that. Hillary Clinton certainly knows that. Watch.
The Russians, let's say WikiLeaks, same thing, dumped the John Podesta emails. I have my complaints about former Director Comey. The use of my email account was turned into, the biggest scandal since Lord knows when. They covered it like it was Pearl Harbor. If you look at Facebook, the vast majority of the news items posted were fake. There's all these stories about, guys over in Macedonia who are running these fake news sites. I inherit nothing from the Democratic Party. I also think I was the victim of a very broad assumption I was going to win. If the election had been on October 27th, I'd be your president. And it wasn't. It was on October 28th, and there was just a lot of funny business going on around that.
So the Russians, WikiLeaks, Jim Comey, Facebook, Democratic Party saboteurs, and the citizenry of Macedonia. Those are the people who did the funny business that was like Pearl Harbor that prevented Hillary from becoming president. That's who opposed her last time, obviously.
But hear me, comrades. Trump is the only candidate in history to suggest that the election may have been stolen. The only one. Hear me and believe.
To have a situation where one of the candidates for president of the United States is questioning the integrity, the outcome of an election on the basis of no facts is really so irresponsible it goes beyond the pale.
How about Biden telling us that he was going to unify the country with his healing words?
And folks, We need a president who's not only ready to fight, but is also ready to heal this country. We can't hold grudges. We've got to be able to go out and unify the country because the president is supposed to heal as well as fight. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. We need a president who's going to bring us together, not pull us apart.
Let us not forget that even though roughly half of the people getting infected with COVID are vaccinated, it's really the fault of the unvaccinated. We shouldn't blame China, that would be divisive. We should blame the people responsible, the horrible Trump voting unvaccinated. If it weren't for them, vaccinated people would never get infected with COVID, and that's a fact that I expect you to assimilate without question.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
But I say to you, he will be everyone's president, not just those who vote for him.
The country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can unite us, leadership that brings us together. That's what the presidency is. The duty to care for all of us, not just those who vote for us, but all of us. But I promise you this, I won't traffic in fear and division.
Know this too, you pliable proletariat. If you don't vote for his bill, you're a racist.
History has never been kind to those who've sided with voter suppression over voters' rights. And it'll even be less kind for those who side with election subversion. So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide.
For those who skipped Confederate History Day at school, according to Wikipedia, George Wallace was a 4-term Democrat governor of Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement. He was best remembered for his staunch segregationist and populist views. Bull Connor was another Democrat and historic white supremacist, the Commissioner of Public Safety in Birmingham, Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement. And Jefferson Davis was another Democrat and President of the Confederacy during the Civil War. So that's right, folks. He just said anyone who doesn't vote for his bill is A, a Democrat, and B, more importantly, a white supremacist. And if those aren't the words to heal a nation, I don't know what they'd be. Next, I want to show you several clips of pea-brain leftists telling their pea-brain voters that they support the filibuster as a matter of principle, but they also don't support it, also as a matter of principle. And this makes sense if you're an idiot.
What about that nuclear option, doing away with the filibuster?
Well, I can tell you that would be the end of the Senate as it was originally devised and created going back to our founding fathers.
Does it mean you should get rid of the filibuster?
Well, we should obviously take a look at it. If it's going to stop essential business for the United States Senate, we have to reevaluate it.
Everybody I've talked to believe that the legislative filibuster should stay there, and I will personally resist efforts to get rid of it.
I think the filibuster is going to be a defining debate for our party, whether we want to start delivering real results.
No, I'm not crazy about getting rid of the filibuster.
At the end of the day, we have to end the filibuster.
Biden, specifically, takes a principled stand.
Senate Majority Leader Howard Baker in 1993 wrote that compromising the filibuster, quote, would topple one of the pillars of American democracy, the protection of minority rights from majority rule. The Senate is the only body in the federal government where these minority rights are fully and specifically protected.
But in order to prevent majority rule, sometimes you have to protect majority rule. Don't ask questions, just clap and nod, peasants.
If they can do that, then the United States Senate should be able to protect voting rights by a simple majority. Today, I'm making it clear, to protect our democracy, I support changing the Senate rules, whichever way they need to be changed to prevent a minority of senators from blocking action on voting rights. When it comes to protecting majority rule in America, the majority should rule in the United States Senate.
Protect majority rule. But keep in mind, we need the Senate filibuster to prevent majority rule.
It is not only a bad idea, it upsets the constitutional design and does a disservice to the country. No longer would the Senate be a different kind of legislative body that the founders intended. No longer would the Senate be the saucer to cool the passions of the immediate majority.
But let us not forget, comrades, that the majority must prevail.
But as an institutionalist, I believe that the threat to our democracy is so grave that we must find a way to pass these voting rights bills. Debate them, vote, let the majority prevail. And if that bare minimum is blocked, we have no option but to change the Senate rules, including getting rid of the filibuster for this.
Wait, what? Let's hear that again.
The protection of minority rights from majority rule.
When it comes to protecting majority rule in America, the majority should rule in the United States Senate.
Remember when Biden said he wouldn't mandate vaccines?
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I'll do everything in my power as the President of the United States to encourage people to do the right thing.
Psych! Fooled you again, suckers!
As your president, I'm announcing tonight a new plan to require more Americans to be vaccinated to combat those blocking public health.
Remember when Biden said that a president that presided over 220,000 COVID deaths should step down?
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
I'll just point out that Biden's death toll is now over 420,000, and people have died at a faster average rate under Biden than under Trump, despite the fact that Biden began his term with a vaccine that the Trump administration had developed in record time. Leftists probably don't have the brain capacity to see the contradiction here, but I trust that my core audience will understand that by his own standards, Biden should not remain as President of the United States. Lastly, don't forget to believe all women.
Not only do women, like Dr. Ford, who bravely comes forward, need to be heard, but they need to be believed.
But if it's a Democrat, believe the dude.
Now that he has given that answer, do you view this as a closed issue, or what is your response?
Well, it is for me. I have said I am proud to support Joe Biden for president. I believe him when he says it didn't happen.
So if you're a Democrat, you're an idiot. There's just no getting around that one. And all the people who are saying to themselves right now that both sides are guilty of this, no. There is one side that contradicts itself far more often and far more shamelessly than the other, and that party is the Democratic Party. It was actually very easy to find the clips for this video despite YouTube banning a lot of these embarrassing moments. I challenge anyone out there to create such a video for Republicans. You'll have a much harder time finding material. And that's all for now. Please like and subscribe. Visit my site, docrightwing.com. And until next time, comrades.